In the small, unassuming town of Glenwood, the Wilkes Mansion loomed like a relic of the past. Built in the early 1900s, the mansion was once the pride of the town, with its grandiose columns and expansive grounds. However, by the 1960s, it had fallen into disrepair, becoming a local legend due to a series of unsettling occurrences and mysterious disappearances. The most recent chapter in the mansion's history began in 1979 when the Devereaux family, Robert, his wife Eleanor, and their teenage daughter Sarah, moved into the house, eager to restore its former glory. They had heard the rumors, of course, but dismissed them as nothing more than ghost stories meant to scare children. From the moment they arrived, something felt off. Eleanor, in particular, noticed a coldness that seemed to linger in certain rooms, no matter how much the heating was turned up. Strange noises began to plague the family. Whispers in the dead of night, the sound of footsteps pacing the hallways, and a constant creaking from the floorboards despite the house being still. One night, as the family was settling in, Sarah's curiosity got the better of her. She had heard about a hidden room in the mansion from the local historian, who spoke of a secret chamber behind a bookshelf in the library. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of adventure, Sarah decided to investigate. She searched the library meticulously, and after hours of scouring, she finally found the hidden mechanism. A book that, when pulled, slid the bookshelf aside to reveal a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. With her heart pounding, she descended the stairs. At the bottom, Sarah found herself in a small, dusty room. In the center was an old wooden chest, bound with iron. It was unlocked, and inside, she discovered a collection of old photographs and letters. The photographs were of the Wilkes family, the original owners, along with a few other unfamiliar faces. The letters were dated from the early 1900s and spoke of a tragic event, a series of disappearances, the last of which was never solved. The most disturbing item was a letter from a woman named Elizabeth Wilkes, who mentioned a cursed bargain, and referred to the mansion as a prison for souls. Her words seemed to suggest that something sinister had taken place within the mansion's walls, something that had trapped the souls of those who had disappeared. Sarah, feeling increasingly uneasy, decided to leave the chest and head back upstairs. But as she turned to climb the stairs, she heard a faint but distinct voice whisper her name. The voice was chillingly familiar, like someone she knew but couldn't quite place. She bolted back to the library, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. As she reached the main floor, she found her parents waiting, their faces pale and drawn. They explained that they had heard her scream and had come to find her. Sarah, shaken but determined, showed them the hidden room and the chest. The next day, Robert contacted a local historian who specialized in the mansion's history. He confirmed the disturbing truth. The mansion was indeed built on land where dark rituals were said to have taken place, and the original owners had made a pact with a malevolent entity. The entity, bound to the mansion, was said to claim the souls of those who lived there. The Devereaux family decided to leave the mansion immediately. They packed their things and left that very night, never to return. They never spoke of the mansion again, and the local historian, who had taken an interest in the case, found that the mansion seemed to choose its inhabitants, those who were destined to uncover its dark secrets. Years later, the Wilkes Mansion still stands, its windows boarded up and its grounds overgrown. Occasionally, a passerby might notice a flicker of light behind those darkened windows or hear faint, eerie whispers carried on the wind. The house remains a grim reminder of the pact made long ago, its shadows holding the secrets of those who once dared to live within its cursed walls. So if you ever find yourself near Glenwood and see the Wilkes Mansion in the distance, be wary. The whispers of its past are still very much alive, waiting for the next unwitting soul to uncover the dark truth hidden within its walls. After the Devereaux family's abrupt departure, the Wilkes Mansion fell into further disrepair. The town of Glenwood, now wary of the house's dark reputation, largely avoided the area. Over the years, the mansion became a local legend, a place of whispered tales and rumors. One particularly cold winter night in 1985, a group of urban explorers, 4 friends with a penchant for the macabre, decided to investigate the mansion. They were drawn by the tales of its haunted past and the mystery surrounding the Devereaux family's sudden departure. The group, consisting of Lisa, Mark, Jenna, and Tom, equipped themselves with cameras, flashlights, and a Ouija board, eager to uncover the truth behind the mansion's legends. As they approached the mansion, they noted how the once grand structure now seemed to exude a sense of malevolence. The windows, obscured by grime and age, appeared like dark, watchful eyes. They managed to pry open a back door, which creaked ominously as they entered. The interior was as they had heard, dusty with peeling wallpaper and sagging floorboards. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, casting eerie shadows on the walls. They made their way to the library, the room where Sarah Devereaux had discovered the hidden staircase. The hidden staircase was still there, and the group, their curiosity piqued, decided to descend. They found the same small, dusty room with the old chest. This time, however, the chest was slightly ajar, as if someone had recently rifled through it. The explorers carefully examined its contents but found that nothing had changed. The photographs and letters were still there. As they were inspecting the letters, Tom, who had been more skeptical about the mansion's haunted reputation, began to feel an uneasy chill. He joked about the cursed bargain mentioned in the letters, trying to lighten the mood, but his laughter was cut short when the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. A dense fog began to form around their feet, and the air grew heavy with an oppressive weight. Jenna, who had been holding the Ouija board, suggested they attempt a séance to contact any spirits that might be lingering. Despite their initial reluctance, the group agreed, believing it would add a sense of authenticity to their exploration. They arranged the Ouija board on the floor and placed their fingers lightly on the planchette. They began asking questions, trying to make contact with any spirits in the house. At first, the planchette remained still, but soon, it began to move slowly, spelling out words with unsettling clarity. "Who are you?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling slightly. The planchette spelled out Elizabeth. The room grew colder still and the fog thickened. The friends exchanged nervous glances. Mark, trying to maintain a sense of control, asked, "What do you want?" The response was almost immediate. "Souls." A sudden, deafening bang echoed through the mansion, making the friends jump. They looked around, their hearts racing. The door to the hidden room slammed shut, trapping them inside. Panic set in as they scrambled to open it, but it wouldn't budge. As they struggled, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. Their flashlights, once reliable, seemed to dim and fail one by one. In the oppressive silence, they began to hear the soft, ghostly sound of weeping, growing louder and more despairing. Tom, now visibly shaken, tried to calm everyone down. He suggested they stay together and wait for the power to return. But as they huddled close, a faint, spectral light appeared in the center of the room. It coalesced into the ghostly figure of a woman, her face gaunt and sorrowful. The figure seemed to be pleading, her mouth moving in silent agony. Lisa, her voice barely a whisper, asked, "What happened here? What do you need?" The apparition extended a hand toward the chest, which had now begun to glow faintly. The friends approached it, their fear momentarily overshadowed by curiosity. They opened the chest once more and found an old, leather-bound book they had missed before. The book was filled with handwritten entries, detailing a series of rituals and dark bargains made by the original owners of the mansion. As they read through the book, they realized the mansion was not just a haunted house, but a place of ongoing torment. The entity bound to the mansion was feeding on the fear and despair of those who dared to uncover its secrets. The more they investigated, the stronger its grip on the mansion became. Suddenly, the lights flickered back on, and the door to the hidden room swung open. The ghostly figure faded away, leaving behind an unsettling silence. The friends, now desperate to escape, quickly gathered their things and fled the mansion, their previous bravado replaced by sheer terror. The next morning, the mansion was quiet once more. The explorers never spoke publicly about their experience, but the whispers of their encounter spread through Glenwood. The Wilkes Mansion continued to stand as a grim monument to its dark past, and those who ventured near it spoke of strange occurrences and an ever-present feeling of being watched. To this day, the mansion remains a place of mystery and fear. Occasionally, visitors report seeing the flickering lights or hearing the mournful cries of the spirits trapped within its walls. The true nature of the curse and the entity that dwells there remain unknown, as the Wilkes Mansion continues to guard its secrets, waiting for the next unwitting souls to cross its threshold. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. After the chilling experience of the urban explorers, the Wilkes Mansion fell into a deeper shadow. The mansion's reputation grew, but no one dared to approach it, let alone investigate. It remained a place of whispered tales and fearful glances, its grim history becoming an integral part of Glenwood's lore. However, in the summer of 1992, a new chapter in the mansion's dark history began. A young historian named Emily Parker, driven by a passion for uncovering the truth, decided to delve into the mansion's past. Emily had recently completed her thesis on local folklore and was intrigued by the persistent mystery surrounding the Wilkes Mansion. Armed with a research grant and an insatiable curiosity, she set out to unravel the secrets that had eluded so many before her. Emily's research led her to the town archives, where she found a wealth of information about the mansion and its original owners, the Wilkes family. The documents revealed a troubling pattern. The mansion had been a hub for secretive gatherings and dark rituals long before the Devereaux family had moved in. The historical records hinted at an ancient pact made by the Wilkes family with an otherworldly entity, a pact that seemed to demand a steep price. Determined to learn more, Emily reached out to a local historian and paranormal expert named Dr. Charles Avery. Dr. Avery had studied the mansion's history extensively and had his own theories about the malevolent force that haunted it. He agreed to assist Emily in her investigation, bringing along his own collection of equipment for detecting paranormal activity. On a warm August evening, Emily and Dr. Avery arrived at the mansion. The air was thick with anticipation as they approached the front door, which creaked ominously as they pushed it open. The interior was as they had heard, a decaying testament to the grandeur it once was, now cloaked in darkness and dust. Their first task was to investigate the library, where Emily hoped to find additional clues about the secret chamber. As they searched, Dr. Avery used a variety of tools: electromagnetic field detectors, thermal cameras, and spirit boxes. Emily meticulously examined the hidden room once more, hoping to find something new. Their efforts paid off when Emily discovered a second hidden compartment within the original chest. Inside, she found a journal with handwritten notes detailing a series of rituals performed by the Wilkes family. The journal described how the entity had initially been summoned as a means to gain wealth and power, but had become a ravenous force that demanded sacrifices. The more Emily read, the clearer it became that the entity was not simply a malevolent spirit, but a powerful force bound by a pact that trapped the souls of those who tried to uncover its secrets. The rituals described in the journal were attempts to appease the entity, to offer it something in exchange for leaving the mansion. But the sacrifices had only strengthened its grip. As they examined the journal, Dr. Avery's equipment began to react violently. The electromagnetic field detector spiked, and the thermal camera showed sudden, unexplained drops in temperature. The spirit box crackled with static before a chilling voice came through, whispering, "Leave now." Emily and Dr. Avery exchanged worried glances. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to intensify, and they could feel an overwhelming presence pressing in on them. They decided to move their investigation to the basement, hoping that it might hold further clues. Descending into the basement, they found a hidden door behind a stack of old furniture. With a sense of dread, they opened it to reveal a dimly lit chamber. Inside was an elaborate ritual setup: candles, arcane symbols etched into the floor, and old, withered tomes. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something else, an almost palpable sense of foreboding. As they examined the chamber, Dr. Avery's equipment went haywire. The spirit box emitted a cacophony of voices, overlapping and unintelligible, while the temperature dropped drastically. Emily felt a cold, icy hand brush against her shoulder, and she turned to find nothing but darkness. A sudden crash from above made them both jump, and they heard what sounded like footsteps moving deliberately around the main floor. They decided to investigate the noise and ascended the stairs, only to find that the front door was now firmly shut, despite having been open earlier. It was as though the mansion itself was trying to keep them inside. Desperate, they attempted to force the door open, but it wouldn't budge. The sounds of footsteps grew louder, and the whispers they had heard through the spirit box now seemed to echo through the mansion, filled with anguish and anger. The oppressive atmosphere became nearly unbearable. Just as they were about to lose hope, the door to the library, which had been closed and locked, swung open by itself. Emily and Dr. Avery hurried back to the library, where they discovered that the chest was now open, its contents scattered. The photographs and letters were missing, as if someone or something had taken them. In the center of the room, a new addition had appeared. A single photograph, face down, lying on the floor. Emily carefully picked it up, her hands trembling. It was a picture of the Wilkes family, but with one glaring difference: the faces were blurred, as if being erased from reality. A deep, guttural growl resonated through the mansion, and the temperature plummeted once more. Emily and Dr. Avery, realizing the severity of the situation, knew they had to leave immediately. They raced to the front door, using all their strength to force it open. As they finally escaped into the night, the mansion seemed to exhale a sigh of relief, its malevolent presence momentarily receding. They left with more questions than answers, their experience adding yet another layer to the mansion's dark history. The Wilkes Mansion remains a forbidden place, its secrets buried within its rotting walls. Occasionally, locals and curious souls report strange occurrences and glimpses of ghostly figures within its shadowed rooms. The mansion continues to guard its dark past, its cursed legacy ensuring that the truth remains elusive and terrifying. Emily and Dr. Avery's encounter with the mansion only deepened the mystery, adding to the chilling tales that surround it. The mansion stands as a grim reminder of the pact made long ago, a place where the line between the living and the dead is hauntingly blurred. The Wilkes Mansion, now more enigmatic than ever, sat in ominous silence as the years went by. Emily Parker and Dr. Avery's encounter left an indelible mark on them both, but their investigation had only scratched the surface of the mansion's dark history. They spoke little of their experience, fearing the mansion's power and preferring to keep the chilling details to themselves. By 1998, the mansion had gained a reputation that drew the attention of a group of paranormal researchers led by a renowned medium named Claire Winters. Claire was known for her success in dealing with some of the most malevolent entities in the field. Determined to solve the mystery of the Wilkes Mansion once and for all, she assembled a team of experts. Jake, a seasoned paranormal investigator; Lisa, a skilled photographer with a knack for capturing evidence; and Marco, a tech specialist adept at handling sophisticated equipment. Their arrival at the mansion was met with the same eerie atmosphere that had plagued previous visitors. The house seemed to pulsate with an almost palpable energy, as if aware of their intent. Claire, sensing the gravity of the situation, led the team inside with a mix of caution and resolve. The team began their investigation by setting up their equipment throughout the mansion. Claire performed a ritual of protection to shield them from any malevolent forces. As they ventured into the basement, where the dark rituals had taken place, they noticed a disturbing change in the environment. The temperature dropped sharply, and a sense of unease grew stronger. Claire, using her mediumistic abilities, attempted to communicate with the spirits trapped within the mansion. The responses were immediate and violent. Objects moved on their own, cold spots appeared, and eerie whispers filled the air. The entity, it seemed, was more active and hostile than ever before. As Claire and her team worked to establish contact, Marco's equipment detected an unusually high level of paranormal activity focused on the library. They decided to investigate the hidden room once more, hoping it would provide the breakthrough they needed. Upon reaching the library, they found the hidden staircase and descended into the secret chamber. The room, once cluttered with old tomes and ritualistic items, was now eerily empty, save for a single new addition. A large, ancient book placed prominently in the center of the room. Its cover was inscribed with strange symbols, and it radiated an unsettling energy. Claire approached the book with trepidation, feeling a powerful force emanating from it. As she opened the book, its pages revealed a new ritual, one that appeared to be a means of breaking the pact and freeing the trapped souls. The ritual was complex and required specific ingredients and actions, but it seemed to offer a glimmer of hope. Realizing the urgency, Claire and her team set to work gathering the necessary items and preparing for the ritual. As they worked, the mansion's malevolent presence grew increasingly agitated. Shadows danced along the walls, and a cold wind howled through the corridors. The ritual began. Claire chanted incantations from the book while Jake, Lisa, and Marco performed the necessary actions to invoke the spell. The air was charged with energy, and the mansion seemed to come alive with fury. The entity, now fully aware of their intentions, unleashed its wrath. The walls shook, and ghostly figures materialized, wailing in torment. Just as the ritual reached its climax, a blinding flash of light erupted from the center of the room. The temperature surged, and a forceful gust of wind extinguished their candles, plunging them into darkness. Claire, guided by instinct and determination, continued the chant, her voice rising above the chaos. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a massive spectral form appeared. A twisted, shadowy figure that seemed to embody the mansion's dark essence. It roared with a sound that resonated through the very fabric of the house. The team was thrown back by the force, their equipment failing in the onslaught. But Claire, with a surge of inner strength, completed the final incantation. The light from the book flared brightly, enveloping the room in a radiant glow. The dark entity let out a final, agonized scream as it was drawn into the book, its malevolent presence being forcibly contained. The mansion fell silent. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the temperature returned to normal. The ghostly figures dissipated, leaving behind a sense of peace that had been long absent. Exhausted but relieved, Claire and her team looked around the now quiet mansion. The once feared house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. With the ritual complete, the mansion's curse was lifted. The entity that had bound the souls to the mansion was contained, and the spirits trapped within were finally freed. The mansion, though still old and worn, no longer exuded the same sense of dread it once had. Claire and her team left the mansion with a sense of accomplishment and a renewed respect for the forces they had confronted. The mansion, once a symbol of terror, now stood as a testament to the strength and courage of those who had dared to confront its darkness. In the years that followed, the Wilkes Mansion was preserved as a historical site, its past acknowledged but no longer feared. Visitors to Glenwood would occasionally hear tales of the mansion's haunted history, but the stories were now part of a distant, eerie chapter rather than an active threat. The mansion, free from its dark pact, became a place of reflection and remembrance. And as for the ghosts of the Wilkes Mansion, they were finally at peace, their restless spirits having found the release they so desperately sought. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.